Hello, everyone. So for today's class, I'm going to show you how to do work a little bit more with your text, and we'll go over alignment in your titles again. As you can see on the tag here, you've got lines on it. So in order to have your letters go directly on the line instead of just kind of sitting on top and maybe not fitting on top of the lines like you would typically write if you were writing in a notebook. I'm going to show you how you can space this and have them be right directly on the lines. Let me zoom in here a little bit just to kind of show you that. Okay, so this shows you a little bit better. So you can see how each of these sentences are on a line, and I've got one in between. If I had journaling that maybe was a little bit longer, more of a story to write, then I could use each of these lines. But I just found a little poem that I decided to use, and so I didn't have all the lines to fill, and I wanted to be able to use both of these tags for part of the poem. So I'm just going to zoom out a little bit more now. Okay, so I've got this first one done, and then I want to put the rest of the poem here. So I'm going to go over to my T for the type tool, and then you can draw a text box. So you just drag until it fills in that area that you're wanting to have your type fit in. And then I've already got my sentence typed up, so I'm just going to copy and paste that. So there is that. Okay, so you can see that this is all closer, and I want it to be like above here where it's on every other line. So in order to do that, you want to make sure that over here you've got your character tool selected. That's kind of a tongue twister. And if you don't see this on your right hand side, then you go over here to window and you make sure that character is checked, and that will give you this tool over here. And then if you just click on that, then it opens up this area. So first off, I want to take my move tool and I'm going to move everything down to the one line. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so you can see that this first sentence right here is on this first line. I'm actually going to even widen this up. So if I want to select the whole text box, you go over to where it is typed, and then you double click on the T, and that highlights everything. And this will let you adjust your text box. So I want to adjust it so that this shoulder is on this first sentence. So I'm just going to use my arrows here. And you can see that it's not stretching out my font, but it's just stretching out my text box. Okay, so that's all on the same sentence or on the same line like I need it. And then I'm going to go ahead and hold my shift key down and size that so that it fits in with that area. Okay, so I'm going to move this top sentence so that it is directly on the line that I want it to be on. And then I want each of these other sentences to go on every other line. So in order to do that, you'll want to double click on your T so everything is highlighted. And then you go up here where it says leading, and you can highlight that and then just use your up and down arrows, and that spaces your sentences. So you just space that until your sentences are on the lines that you want them to be. So now, as you can see, everything is on every other line and it's lined up just like that. So now I can just kind of center this down, move it down one more line. I think I'm going to do just so that it's centered on this card. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how you can use the dropper tool, which is this tool right over here, this eyedropper tool, to have your text match a specific color maybe is in your kit. So right now is red, and I definitely don't want to have it red. So you double click again so it highlights everything that you're wanting to change. Then you go over and click on this dropper tool. Oh, sorry, okay, getting ahead of myself. So double click on this again, and then you go up here where it shows this color. This is your text color. So this little box right here by your size or whatever is the color of your text. So if you want to change that, and then you can move this tool if you want to wherever you would like to. You can adjust the color by clicking along this strip right here. But if you want to match exactly what a specific color that's maybe in your kit. So maybe I want to match this gray that's down here on this rub-on. So I'm going to go ahead, and some of the other programs will, once you go over onto your page, this little cursor is going to look like a dropper. In Photopea, it doesn't turn into a dropper. But if I click right over here, right on the color, you can see that it changes this color and it changes your font that you've selected. So say I wanted to grab this black that's over here, I just click on that area and that changes it to black. If I wanted to, and you can move this box around if it's in your way, just click on it and move it. Say I wanted this turquoise color. Obviously that's going to be too light to go on this white paper, but just to show you how you can select different colors, you can do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this gray that I used in my text here. And so I'm going to use that same color. So once you've selected that, you click on OK, click your check mark, and then your font has changed to a color that matches your kit. Okay, I'm going to zoom out here. So I've got both of those cards with my text on each line. And then on this last card, if I wanted to maybe put the baby's birth date and stats, you could go ahead and type the text in here in a text box. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my alphabet and show you again how that you can use the alignment tools to do your title. So I'm gonna put a little name down here. So I'm going to go down to my kit, select that, and I'm going to go to my alphabet, and I'm going to select a letter. So you can select more than one if you hold your control down. So I'm going to do Baby Jack. Quite a few of these letters are going to be duplicated. So once I've got the one selected, I hold my control key down and I click on my mouse with the left click and drag it to my layout. And it's going to put it right up there in that top right corner, or left corner, sorry. Okay. Then I'm going to, oops, I got to grab my move tool. Get my text all, this is a good alphabet because it's all symmetrical, just squares. So this one makes it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, so I know I need another B, so I'm going to hit Control J and duplicate the B. And then I need another A, so Control J duplicates that A. Okay, so if I want to line these up so that the edges are lined up with each other and then they're evenly spaced in between, and then the tops and the bottoms are aligned, then this is when you would use your align tool. So you have to make sure that your move tool is selected, and then these functions up here are your alignment tools. So first off, I'm going to start by lining both of these on the right hand side. So I'm going to click the Y, hold my shift key down and the K, and I'm going to do the right align. So that aligns them both on the right hand side. So now I'm going to do the B and the J. So I click on the B, hold my shift key down, click on the J, and I'm going to align the right side on this one because I don't want it to be so far out where the B is. So I'm going to click those two, come up here to the right edges, align that there. Okay, so once I've got that done, then I know both of my ends are lined up with each other. So now I want to align the tops on baby, hold my shift key down and click on each of those letters. And then this, you can, where they're symmetrical, you can use the center align, the top align, or the bottom align. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the bottom align. And then I want the spacing to be even. So this right here, these little squares, the equal gaps, I click on there and that makes my spacing in between the same. So go ahead and do the one below, hold your shift key down, select all of those letters, align the top, bottom, or center on these letters. Then I'm going to make the equal gaps on there. And I want, since I want the text to be a little bit closer, and I use my up and down arrows to move that up. That's good for me. So then I'm going to hold my shift so that I can grab these other letters and move them down to this tag. You've got to make sure that all of them are selected. So you can look over here on the right hand side and see that all of the letters are selected. If they weren't selected and I missed one, you can go ahead and hit undo, Control Z, and go back and try to select those again. And then I'm going to resize. So I'm going to hold my shift key down to keep it in proportion and resize it to fit in to that area. So now I've got my title and everything is aligned there. I'm going to go ahead and load my styles again. So this is your reminder on how to load your styles, because when you open the program, it doesn't show them there again. For some reason, Photoshop and your Photoshop elements, they typically stay, but for some reason in Photopea, they go away. So you just click on this arrow here, you load ASL, and then you go to where your styles are saved, and then go ahead and click on your styles. Oh, that one's for Photoshop. I need the Photopea ones. Click on open. Click OK here. And there I've got my shadows. So I'm going to go ahead and put a shadow on these. And the one I'm going to use is just the paper shadow. And if with all of these, but I'm going to show you a little trick on these to copy all of your shadows instead of having to go to each layer individually and add the shadow. You can go over and copy the effect. So I've got it on this B and it says EFF here. So that means that my effect is on there. If I click on this little, if I right click right here where it says effect, then I can go, whoops, sorry, right click here, not on the EFF, just in this area right in here. So right click here till it brings up this menu. And then where it says layer style, you click on copy. And now I can select all of these layers. So I can select the top one, hold my control key down, grab all of those. And then I click again in this area, right click, layer style, and click paste. And that puts a shadow on all of those, the same shadow that you've copied on all of those layers. Don't worry if you forget that. You can either come back and be reminded on this video, or you can, like I say, select each layer one at a time and add your shadow onto it that way. So now we've got our little journaling on these cards. I've shown you how to adjust your line spacing. Worked a little bit more on your alignment on your titles. Now I've got this one last little area here. I think what I will do on this, you could do some journaling here. You could create a cluster from your kit right here if you have all the pieces to your kit. But what I'm going to do is just put a date. So I'm going to go in to my type tool, draw a text box right there. And right here, I've got my color selected. So it's the same color that I used beforehand. And then I'm going to type, oops. I like to date all my layouts just because when I'm organizing them, it makes it a lot easier. And you can put the whole date. A lot of times I'll just do the month and the year. And click on confirm. And then just maybe move that down just right in here, wherever you want to do that. And so now we've got a whole, this was a quick page and everything is completed on there. So we have a completed layout. So then just to remind you how to save it, you go to File. You can save it as a PSD if you still plan on coming back and working on it. Or you can export as a JPEG and save it as a JPEG, and that will complete it so that all your layers are connected. I'm gonna just save mine as a PSD in case I decide to come back and work on it a little bit later. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial, and we will see you for our next one.